I'm walking around the police station in 1968, 10 in the morning, and I run into a friend of mine from the John Howard. And he says, Berner, what are you doing? I said, I don't know, nothing. He says, come into this courtroom with me. I said, what for? He says, follow my lead. I said, okay. So I go in the courtroom, and up comes the case of Sam. Sam is a Quadrille Indian from Alert Bay. Sam has just gotten out of the joint. In less than 24 hours, he's gotten drunk, and he wants to go home to Alert Bay. How does he do it? He steals a tugboat. As he's going through the Gulf of Georgia, he makes the mistake of hooking up to Texada Island. And he's trying to tow Texada Island into the Gulf. So, of course, he's arrested. So now this guy who just got out of prison is being rearrested and charged with theft over 50. Today, that 50 at that time was like 50 grand. Today, a tugboat, of course, would cost about $5 million. So here's this case of this guy. Now, the judge, there's a reason I'm telling you this story. The judge was known as the hanging judge. His name is Les Bewley. Very tough. Very, very tough guy. So, he says, this is terrible. This man, you know, how often are we going to get these people coming into my courtroom over and over again? Don't we have any alternatives? And he turns to my friend John Webster from the John Howard. And he says, Mr. Webster, do we have any alternatives? And John, very clever, playing what we call in billiards a carom shot, says, no, not really, sir. What do you mean, not really? That's your job. You're supposed to help me. And he says, well, I don't have any ideas. Whoa, what are you doing here? Says the judge. And John says, well, on the other hand, sir, there is this young man, and he started this little program, and maybe he could speak. So this is my cue. John and I have not rehearsed this. So I get up, and I look at Sam, who's about this tall, and I say, sir, my name is David Berner. I'm running something called the Indian Post-Release Center Society, and I'll tell you that story in a minute. And I've never seen this man before, and just looking at him, he looks like he has no redeeming social qualities. But you and I know if you send him to prison, we're looking at $50,000 down the drain, and he'll come back in worse shape than when we send him in. On the other hand, if you give him to me, who knows? I don't know. Maybe he'll learn something. Maybe he'll stop drinking for 12 minutes. We don't know. The judge says, fine. Anything is better than what we've been doing. Get him out of here. Come back in 30 days and give me a report. So we take Sam back to the house. And for 3 weeks, Sam does zero. He sweeps the floor. He smokes our cigarettes. He sleeps in our bed. He uses our washroom. He says nothing to nobody. But one night we decide to play a game called psychodrama. And in psychodrama, you get to act out little things going on in your life. Either in your real life, or in your emotional life, or your imaginary life, or whatever. So here is Sam being Sam, and here's another guy named Lloyd from Kamloops playing the judge. When Lloyd is playing the judge, Sam has nothing to say. But somehow I have already made myself sort of an expert in psychodrama, so I have them change roles. And this miracle happens. This silent, traditional cigar store Indian, who has been a totem pole up until now playing the judge, is magnificent. He's talking. He's saying everything. We can't shut him up. And more interestingly, he asks Sam, now being played by Lloyd, some dynamic question. Whoop, stop, change roles. And we get Lloyd to ask the same question, and Sam answers, and that's our evening. We come to the court. And ladies and gentlemen, this is an historic moment in Canadian jurisprudence. We come to the court, and the judge goes, oh yeah, Sam. Okay, so, what was his name? Oh yeah, Mr. Berner. So, what do you have to say? What should I say? Well, I gave him to you. I said, yes, but this isn't slavery. You can't give a person to me. What am I supposed to say? Well, I have to have a report. I say, sir, Sam is perfectly capable person. He can speak for himself. What? Understand that until that moment, as far as any of us had ever heard, no Aboriginal person had ever stood up and spoken for themselves in a Vancouver court. Ever. Sam gets up. Very humble, very quiet, very honest. Sir, he says, I don't know. I'm at this place and I haven't had a drink in 30 days and I wish I could tell you I'm changed. I'm not really. I'm the same guy, but you know, the people are nice and I don't know, I feel like I'm learning something. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but it's good. And you know, really I'd like the chance to stay there because maybe I could, you know, learn some more and stay sober. And now I'm going to tell you the punchline. The judge starts crying. The judge gets completely fucked up and starts crying because he's never seen this before. And we believe that that was the beginning of Native court workers in British Columbia. That incident propelled people to start doing Native court work in British Columbia. And our work constantly set the bar. Our work constantly was the first ever. So now I'll move on. So, we're in this house. We still don't have a lot of rules. We try, you know, no booze in the house. No, none of it works. None of it works. Okay? Here's the first example of paying for a clean house. One day we let in a girl named Delphi, who's a white heroin addict. And I come back to the house about 10 o'clock, and everybody rushes after me. Hey, Dave, you know that girl Delphi we let in? I say, yeah. Well, she's high. Really? How do you know? They look at me like, you idiot. We're telling you, trust us, she's high. I said, really? On what? Oh, David, you're such an asshole. Yeah, she's high on junk. Really? I said, okay. So I go upstairs. And here's Delphi. She's got curlers in her hair. She's got big, fluffy rabbit slippers. And she's got a house coat, you know, Mrs. Suburb. You know, she's a junkie. And she's in her bedroom. There's a light on in the bedroom. There's no light in the hallway. And I said, Delphi, how you doing? She says, oh, Dave, great, yeah, yeah. I said, blah, blah, blah. And as I'm talking to her, I'm sort of, and she's sort of, and guess what? As she goes from the light to the dark, her pupils aren't changing. Oops. I said, Delphi, you're stoned, goodbye. What? I said, you're high, get out of here. No, I wouldn't do that to you, man. Of course you would, Delphi, you're a junkie, goodbye. It's over. So I throw her out. It's 10:30 at night. For the next hour, everyone in the house yells at me. How could you do that? I just sit there. Go ahead. I don't care. Yell at me. It means nothing. I say, look, did you not say you wanted a clean house? Yeah. Well, now you got it. Yeah, but she could die. And we care how much? Do we care? Do you want a clean house or don't you? Okay. So after an hour or so, the fights stop and we go to bed. The next day, we learned that Delphi died that night. She went to a hotel in the New West and she died. And you know what everybody said after that? Nothing. The price of having a clean and sober environment is high. It is not won easily. If you think that this comes easily, you don't have the faintest idea how this is built. Even today. The price of having a clean and sober environment is extremely costly. Delphi died, that's the breaks. She's going to die anyways, apparently. Apparently that's her mission in life, is to OD. What am I supposed to do? I'm not God. I can't interfere with her mission. But I can work on having a clean and sober environment. So, finally we figured out the two rules. And the two rules were these.